Okay, so another thing I'd like to talk about today is voiceover, and we can find voiceover in settings and then scrolling all the way down to accessibility, and there it is, voiceover. So what voiceover will do is it will read any type of icons or any information on the screen, and I'll give you an example of that. But you do have to bear in mind that your gestures on the screen will change if voiceover is on, and the way you navigate when you're in voiceover mode is you swipe right at the bottom to go down or left again at the bottom to go up. But I'll give you an example of that, so let's have a look. If I toggle voiceover on,
voiceover on, settings, accessibility, back button.
There we go. And if I swipe right,
voiceover, head, voiceover, on. Voiceover speaks items on the screen. Tap once to select an item. Double tap to activate the selected item. Learn more, link. Voiceover practice, button, speaking rate, heading.
And this setting here is the speaking rate, so you can change that to something that's going to be slightly slower or slightly faster depending on how much practice you've got. Now I know some visually impaired people, especially those ones with severe sight loss or complete sight loss, will have a very good degree of understanding the speaking rates, and they might have this super fast. Me, however, I don't use voiceover that much, so I need a slower speaking rate. To go back again, you swipe left,
voiceover practice,
and you can see everything is going
tap once to select
all the way up
voiceover,
to the back button.
heading, accessibility, back button.
Now, bear in mind, obviously, this will involve quite a bit of practice. The feature is great. Me personally, I don't use it as much, so my practice on this is not the best. But yeah, it's a great feature if you really struggle to read the screen.
Double tap, learn more, voiceover, speaking rate, speech, braille, button, voiceover recognition, button.
Another accessibility feature I'd like to talk about today is braille input. So on the newer iPhones and the newest iOS, there's a feature called braille input. Now, I don't tend to use braille. I've never learned braille before, but I can see this being useful to someone with a complete sight loss that knows how to read braille. And maybe in the future I'll do a video just about this feature in particular. Now let me show you where to find this. So if you go onto settings, and again you go back to accessibility just there, and then if you scroll down you can see at the on here where it says voiceover, you can go onto that, and then you've got speech, braille, voiceover recognition. So you're going to go into braille, and you can choose between 6 dot or 8 dot input and output, and this is where you'd access everything. And what this does, it basically turns your screen into braille input, and you can use your fingers to input messages and text and things like that. I can see this being really helpful to someone with, like I said, complete sight loss that knows how to read braille. So I will try and do a video just about this feature on iOS at a later date. So there is a very simple way to access these accessibility features on your phone. The one that I tend to use, and it's very simple, is just a triple click on the side button. And let me tell you how to activate this. So you go onto settings. So we're in your main settings screen. And then if I just scroll down to accessibility, and then I will find the accessibility shortcut. There it is. It's right at the bottom. It's the last one. And you can see here, configure, and then triple click the side button to toggle accessibility features on or off. Triple click the side button for, and then you can choose any of these accessibility features. And just by triple clicking on your side button, like so, you can see the ones that I use the most. So we've got Smart Invert, we've got voice control, we've got voiceover, we've got zoom, and we've got magnifier. These are the ones that I use the most, and no matter where you are on your screen, if you triple click on your side button, these will come up and you can choose between which one you want to use at a specific point in time. So again, very helpful tip. Triple click on the side button, and it'll take you to your most frequent accessibility features. And next I'd like to talk about screen management. And what do I mean with screen management? So you can see on my home screen here, I've got on the first page my most used apps, and then I've got folders right at the bottom. One of the folders I use quite a lot, it's called VIPs, and this is where I've got all the apps that will aid me on a daily basis with my visual impairments. I've got a few of them. I've got Envision AI, I've got SuperSense, Be My Eyes, Seeing AI, etc. And I will talk about these in more detail on future videos. But what screen management does is it basically it's basically a way for me to know where my most used apps are. So if I move on to my next page, for example, I've got my socials, I've got TV, I've got music, and it makes it a lot easier for me to find my apps rather than having them all on the screen. I will just find them. I will just find the folder where the apps are, and it makes it a lot easier. So for example, if I go to my socials, I know I've got my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitch, and my Messenger there. If I go to my TV, I've got my Netflix, my Prime Video, my Apple TV, my Disney Plus, etc. And this gives you an idea of how I manage my screen, and it's a great way of finding the apps that I need at the right time. Another thing I want to talk about is widgets. So with the new iOS 14, you've got widgets on your screen. So you can see here, if I'm on my main screen, if I swipe right, I've got all my widgets here. So I've got my calendar, my battery percentage, my weather, etc. And there's a huge amount of widgets you can get for iOS. And again, this is just a simpler way of having things, having access to things on your screen quite easily. So next I want to talk about web browsing. And to do web browsing on iOS, normally you'd use the app called Safari. So if I go onto my Safari, I've got my Safari homepage set to Google. And normally when I'm trying to Google something on the web, things like fonts tend to be quite small. So there's two ways of changing this. The first one is if you go up the top, you can see that there's a little fonts icon with a small a and a large A. You click on that, and you can increase the font size to something that's more appropriate. So 200% will enlarge it by quite a lot. But if I go down to 115% again, what I can do is simply pinch to zoom. So if I go onto, for example, Vision Norfolk's website, I can just simply pinch to zoom, and it will make things a lot easier on the screen. A lot easier to read in terms of fonts and pictures, etc. So there you go, guys. Another tip for you guys, pinch to zoom when you're doing web browsing. So another thing I'd like to talk about as well is Magnifier. And Magnifier is a very simple app, but very, very effective and very useful. And you can access Magnifier in a few ways. In this case, I'm just going to show you on my home screen. I've got my VIPs folder right there. And if I go into Magnifier, basically all it does is it acts as a magnifier on your screen. So you can use your phone as an actual magnifier. So I've got my watch over here. If I turn my watch on, if I want to magnify what's on there, I can just zoom in and out and magnify. And this goes for anything. So if you've got something on your desk that you can't read, like a document, you can use your magnifier to magnify anything on the screen, basically. Very simple, but very effective and very useful. So another really cool feature that I use all the time is voice commands through iOS. and iOS has got its own, you know, voice assistant. It's Siri, and we can do really cool things. We can, you know, make phone calls, send text messages, and even open websites and apps. And I'll show you how that works now. So if I say, "Hey Siri, send a text message to Emma."
What do you want to say?
"Hello, I'll be home for dinner soon."
Your message to Emma says, "Hello, I'll be home for dinner soon." Ready to send it?
"Yeah, send."
Okay, it's sent.
Cool, so that's sent. If I wanted to make a phone call, for example, I can always say, "Hey Siri, call Emma."
Calling Emma. Mobile.
There you go, and it's calling now. Let's switch that off. Or I can do other things like, for example, "Hey Siri, what's the weather like outside?"
It's currently raining and 9 degrees. Expect cloudy skies then rain starting tonight. Temperatures are heading down from 9 degrees to 6 tonight.
There you go. Or even opening apps. So, "Hey Siri, open up Facebook." There you go, and there's Facebook. Or, "Hey Siri, open up Netflix." And there you go. There's my Netflix right there. So really cool things you can do with voice assistants without actually having to touch the screen of the iPad or of the iPhone that you're using. So there you go, folks. These are just some of the accessibility features that are available on iOS 14. We've covered some of the basics. There's a lot more to it. I will be doing some more videos on these and also on third-party apps that you can use on your iPhones and on your iPads. And feel free to go to our YouTube channel, Vision Norfolk's YouTube channel. You can find some other videos on there, and hopefully you'll find this content useful. I'll see you on the next one. Enjoy.